Welcome to Andy's Art Lab, where today we are going to be creating some rather ominous owls. For part one, you're going to need a pencil, eraser, black marker, and heavy paper. Now, my step by step is a little simple and make it your own, but start with the beak, which is like the shape of an upside down carrot. From your upside down carrot beak, you're going to make a V that flares out a bit. Imagine that these are feathers, because they are. Our ominous owls are based loosely on the great horned owl. And if you've ever had the pleasure of meeting a great horned owl in real life, they look at you like they're looking right through you and that they know all your secrets. And one of the reasons they do this is their stunning eyes. And around their eyes, there's a circle of feathers that are a different color. So I did that as my first circle coming off the horn feathers, we'll call them. And then within that, you're going to draw their eyeballs, which are these two concentric circles that are a little bit further up. So you can see I have 3 circles to make up the eye on each side. And then I drew the top of the head and the side of the face. And this doesn't have to be perfect. I actually highly recommend that you draw this in pencil first. I drew it in pencil, but that video was pretty useless because you couldn't really see it. So I'm showing you the step by step using a black marker, but I highly recommend that you use a pencil first. So draw your carrot, draw the V-shaped feathers that come up from that carrot beak. Get your eye placement right. Each eye is 3 concentric circles. The 2 smaller circles are going to be the eyeball of the owl, whereas the bigger circle around is just different colored feathers. You do not need to get this perfect. Then make a body shape that looks right to you. You and I are different artists, so our ominous owls are going to be completely unique to us. Feel free to copy mine as much as you want to or improvise as much as you want to. Once you have it how you like it, that is when you go over it in your handy dandy black marker. Once I had my drawing how I liked it, I grabbed oil pastels, a blending stump, some paper towel, kept my black marker around, and I dug deep and found some patience for this next part. Now, the reason I say patience is you're going to spend some time building up these colors and you don't want to rush it. You want to take small strokes with your pastels and start with the lightest parts. You might want to look up some pictures of great horned owls and see what we're creating here. And you'll see pretty quickly that I did not create an exact copy of a great horned owl. In fact, they're not orange or red, but you let your inner artist tell you what color you want to create your owl to be. Imagine that it's dark and you can't see the colors anyway. This is all in your imagination. So I blended a white to a light yellow into orange and then into red. And I created a pattern and I built upon my pastels. So you're going to want to take your time and build up the colors. Don't rush it. I think there's about 4 or 5 layers of pastel on my owl. I just kept going over it until the color felt rich enough. I couldn't see the paper through it. And then once I had all of the lighter colors in place, that's when I started adding in some brown and some darker colors. I personally find it easier to blend dark into the light pastels rather than go the other way around and try to blend light pastels into dark colors. I find it just ends up looking muddy. But this is a conversation between you and your inner artist, so I want you to play around with it and see what you think. What do you prefer? Dark first, light first? When you get to the face, I put a layer of light pastel over those black circles that we drew. And then once I had all the light pastels, then I added some dark very carefully to shadow those eyes, and I blended it outwards. The very last thing that I did was added in a little bit of extra color, did a little bit of extra blending, and then I took a bamboo skewer and I added feather texture. Don't color in the eyeballs with pastel. We're going to do those using watercolor. Don't touch them, leave them blank, as hard as that is. Next, we're going to do our watercolor. So, you're going to need watercolor paint, water in a jar, and paintbrushes. The very first thing I did was I colored in the eyeballs, the outer part of the eyeball, with yellow watercolor paint. And then I decided to do the background. Because of the oil pastels, you don't have to be too careful here. It's going to resist the color. I did not like how this turned out. And at this point, I was ready to give up on this owl. I just didn't like the way that the purple and the red kind of went together. And that is when my daughter told me to start being kinder to myself and trust the process. So I kept going. I grabbed a black marker and a scrap piece of paper. The scrap paper is just helpful to put over your oil pastel while you're working on the background. So wait till your paint is dry and then have fun with some lines. Imagine that you can see the sound waves that help the owls to hunt. Owls hear in 3D. It's quite amazing. Their eyesight is great too, and they have these beautiful eyes. When you do the eyeballs, the black part, just do dots, but leave light in the middle. So don't color them in all the way. I just did dots and lighter dots in the middle, fewer dots in the middle. So it looks like the eyes are alive. Don't just color them in black. I mean, you can, it's your art. But that's my tip for the eyeballs. And then I just made as many possible lines as I could. And the idea is they are the sound waves. They are how the owl would see in the dark. Now I took off my masking tape. I don't know if you use masking tape. I like it just to keep my paper from moving around. I'm glad I didn't give up on this owl. I like this owl. And just a reminder to trust the process because he looks pretty ominous. Thank you so much for creating with me today. I hope you get a chance to try this one and let me know how it turns out in the comments.